The first enemy ship exploded. It happened so fast that no one believed it at first. One moment, the massive vessel hung in space like a dark moon. The next moment, it burst into a ball of fire and metal. On the ground, Hyan shouted in triumph. Direct hit. The engine core is destroyed. Ambassador Yuna grabbed his arm. What about Jay? What about the horizon? Hyan checked his screens frantically. The battle was chaos. Ships flew everywhere. Explosions filled the darkness. Finding one small vessel in that storm seemed impossible. Then a voice came through the communication channel. It was tired but alive. This is Captain J. My ship is damaged, but I am still flying. The plan works. Focus on the course. Across the battlefield, the surviving pilots heard the news. The enemy could be killed. The impossible had become possible. More attacks followed. Valorian pilots flew their ships directly into the enemy formation, targeting the glowing engine cores. Some died instantly. Others managed to fire before being destroyed. But one by one, the enemy ships began to fall. Admiral Kores led from the front. His vessel dodged enemy fire with skill that surprised everyone. He was old, but he flew like a young warrior. Stay together, he commanded. Watch each other's backs. Give your brothers and sisters time to reach their targets. The Valorians fought with a desperation they had never known before. These were not soldiers following orders. These were people protecting their homes, their families, their future. After 2 hours, the battle was over. Of the 12 enemy ships, 9 were destroyed. The remaining 3 turned and fled into deep space, disappearing as quickly as they had arrived. The cost was terrible. Of the 500 ships that launched from Theron, only 87 returned. Admiral Kores was among them. Captain J was among them. More than 400 pilots gave their lives. But the Empire survived. On the palace steps, Emperor Thalos watched the surviving ships land. His old face was wet with tears. He had ruled for 600 years. He had seen wars and disasters and tragedies. But he had never seen anything like this. Captain J climbed out of the damaged horizon. His uniform was burned. His face was covered in sweat and blood. But he walked with his head held high. Ambassador Yuna ran to meet him. She threw her arms around him without caring who watched. You are alive, she said. I thought I lost you. Not yet, Jay replied with a tired smile. We still have work to do. Officer Hyan joined them, along with Admiral Kores and Advisor Lyra. Together, they walked toward the palace where the Emperor waited. Thalos looked at the small group of humans and his own people standing together. Enemies who had become allies. Strangers who had become heroes. Captain J, the Emperor said. You and your crew came to warn us. We did not listen. You offered us a plan. We called it madness. You risked your life to prove it would work. We owe you everything. Jay shook his head. You owe us nothing. We came because it was right. Because the enemy threatens everyone, not just humans or Valorians. We are all in this together. The enemy fled, Admiral Kores added. But they will return. 3 ships escaped. They will report what happened here. They will bring more forces. Emperor Thalos nodded slowly. Then we must be ready. Not just Valoria. Every species in the galaxy must prepare. He looked at Ambassador Yuna. I would like you to carry a message to other empires. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that Valorians and humans fought together and won. Tell them that the galaxy can only survive if we stand as one. Yuna bowed her head. I would be honored, Emperor. Over the following days, the horizon was repaired. The dead were honored with the greatest ceremony in Valorian history. Human pilots and Valorian pilots were buried side by side, equals in death as they were in battle. Advisor Lyra brought her 2 daughters to meet Captain J. The young girls looked at the human with wide eyes. Are you the one who saved us? The older daughter S.J. knelt down to her level. Many people saved us. Humans, Valorians, everyone who was brave enough to fight. Your mother helped us too. She believed in us when others did not. Lyra smiled. The children in our schools will learn about this day. They will learn that courage comes in many forms, from many species. That is the most important lesson, Jay agreed. When the Horizon finally left Theron, a fleet of Valorian ships escorted them to the border. Not as guards, but as friends. Admiral Koras contacted them one last time before they departed. Captain J, I must apologize. When we first met, I thought humans were weak and foolish. I thought your warnings were tricks. I was wrong about everything. Jay smiled. You listened when it mattered. That is what counts. Your species is strange, Koras continued. You are small and soft. You have no natural weapons. By all logic, you should not survive in this galaxy. Yet you do. Not just survive, but thrive. We learned long ago that the universe does not care about logic, Jay replied. It cares about determination, about never giving up, about finding a way when there is no way. The human way, Corey said. The human way, Jay agreed. As the Horizon jumped to faster than light speed, Ambassador Yuna looked at her captain. Where do we go next? Jay studied the star map. Dozens of empires spread across the galaxy. Some were friendly. Some were hostile. All of them needed to hear the warning. Everywhere, he said. We visit every empire, every colony, every station. We tell them what we told the Valorians. We show them the recordings. We teach them the attack strategy. That could take years, Hyan said from his station. Then it takes years. Jay leaned back in his chair. We started something on Turin. For the first time in galactic history, different species fought together against a common enemy. That alliance cannot end here. Yuna nodded. The enemy will return stronger. We need the entire galaxy ready. More than that, Jay said. We need the entire galaxy united. Not just for this fight, but for all the fights to come. Species that trust each other. Species that help each other. Species that see themselves as one family, not a million competitors. That is a big dream, Hyan said. Jay smiled. Humans are good at big dreams. We dreamed of flying when we had no wings. We dreamed of space when we were stuck on one planet. We dreamed of survival when everything said we should die. He looked out the window at the stars rushing past. Now we dream of peace, real peace, lasting peace. And we will make it happen, one empire at a time. The Horizon flew on through the darkness, carrying its crew toward the next challenge. Behind them, the Valorian Empire began to rebuild. Ahead, countless worlds waited to hear the message of unity. The war was not over. It had barely begun. But for the first time, the galaxy had hope. And that hope came from 3 humans who refused to give up. The human way was spreading, and nothing in the universe could stop it. The warning lights inside the Valorian command station turned red. Officers ran to their posts. Screens showed something that should not exist. A ship was moving through their space. It was not a Valorian ship. It was not from any known empire. It was human. Admiral Koras stood at the center of the room. His 4 eyes blinked in confusion. Humans were a small species from a distant part of the galaxy. They had no business being here. The Valorian Empire controlled this region for 10,000 years. No one entered without permission. How did they get past our border defenses? Koras asked. A young officer looked up from his screen. They did not fight through, Admiral. They simply appeared. Our sensors did not detect them until they were already deep inside our territory. Koras felt his heart beat faster. This was impossible. Valorian technology was the best in the galaxy. Nothing could hide from their sensors. Nothing. The human ship was called the Horizon. It was small compared to Valorian warships. It had no decorations, no bright colors. It was gray and simple, but something about it felt dangerous. Kors could not explain why. "Open a channel," he ordered. The screen flickered. A human face appeared. It was a male with dark hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple uniform with no medals or marks of rank. Behind him, the bridge of his ship was quiet. Only a few crew members worked at their stations. "I am Captain J of the human vessel Horizon," the man said. His voice was steady. "We mean no harm to your empire. We come with an urgent message." Kors leaned forward. "You are inside Valorian space without permission. This is an act of war. Explain yourself before we destroy your ship." Captain J did not look afraid. This surprised Kors. Most species trembled when facing the Valorian Empire. Humans were supposed to be weak. Their bodies were soft. They had no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. Yet this human looked at him like an equal. "We do not have time for threats," Jay said. "Something is coming. Something that will destroy your empire if you do not listen." Kors laughed. The sound echoed through the command center. Other officers joined him. The idea was funny. What could threaten the mighty Valorian Empire? They had conquered 100 worlds. Their fleet was the largest in the galaxy. "You humans are known for your stories," Kors said. "But this one is too much. What could possibly threaten us?" The screen changed. Another human appeared next to Captain J. It was a female with short hair and serious eyes. She wore different clothes, more formal than the captain's uniform. "I am Ambassador Yuna," she said. "I speak for what remains of human civilization. 12 days ago, our home colony was destroyed. 40 million people died in less than 1 hour." The laughter in the command center stopped. "We do not know what attacked us," Yuna continued. "Our weapons did nothing. Our shields meant nothing. The enemy did not communicate. They did not demand surrender. They simply killed everyone and everything." Kors felt cold. He did not want to believe her words. But the look in her eyes was real. This was not a trick. "Why come to us?" he asked. "Humans and Valorians have never been friends." Captain J spoke again. "Because the enemy is not finished. They are moving through the galaxy. Our colony was just the beginning. Based on their path, your empire is next." A younger officer stepped forward. His name was Hyan, and he served as the communication specialist on the Horizon. He had been quiet until now, but he carried a data device in his hands. "We brought proof," Hyan said. "Recordings from our defense satellites. Sensor data from surviving ships. Everything we have." He transmitted the data to the Valorian screens. The command center fell silent as the recordings played. Ships the size of moons moved through space. Weapons that burned through shields like paper. Colonies turned to ash in minutes. Kors watched with all 4 eyes wide open. He had seen war before. He had commanded fleets in battle. But this was different. This was not war. This was extinction. "What are they?" he whispered. "We do not know," Yuna said. "They came from beyond the mapped galaxy. They do not answer our signals. They do not take prisoners. They only destroy." Captain J stepped closer to the screen. "Your emperor needs to see this. Every hour we waste is an hour closer to your destruction. Let us speak to your leaders." Kors thought for a long moment. His training told him to arrest these humans. They had broken the law by entering Valorian space. But his instincts told him something else. The fear in Ambassador Yuna's voice was real. The destruction in the recordings was real. "I will escort you to the capital world," Kors said finally. "But if this is a trick, I will personally watch you die." Captain J nodded. "Fair enough." The channel closed. Chorus turned to his officers. They all looked scared. Good. They should be scared. "Prepare my ship," he ordered. "We leave immediately." As the Valorian fleet surrounded the small human vessel, Chorus wondered if he was making the right choice. Humans were strange creatures. They were weak but clever. They smiled when they should cry. They fought when they should run. Maybe that was why they survived the attack on their colony. Maybe that was why they crossed half the galaxy to warn their enemies. Or maybe they were leading the Valorian Empire into a trap. Either way, Chorus would find out soon. The capital world was only 2 days away. Whatever truth the humans carried, the Emperor would judge it himself. On the horizon, Captain J sat in his chair and closed his eyes. The first step was complete. They were inside the Empire. Now came the hard part, convincing the Valorians that humans were telling the truth. Ambassador Yuna sat beside him. "Do you think they will believe us?" Jay opened his eyes. "They have to. If they do not, everyone dies. Valorians, humans, every species in this part of the galaxy." Ian looked up from his station. "The Valorians are proud. They think they are the strongest in the galaxy. Telling them they might lose will not be easy." "Nothing about this is easy," Jay said. "But we did not come this far to fail. We will make them understand. One way or another." The horizon moved forward, surrounded by Valorian warships. It was a small human vessel in the heart of an alien empire. The crew was tired, scared, and far from home. But they had a mission. And humans never gave up on their missions. The journey to the capital had begun. The capital world of Valorian Empire was called Thurin. It was a planet of golden towers and endless cities. Ships flew through the sky like birds. Billions of Valorians lived there, working, trading, and serving their emperor. Captain J looked through the window of the horizon as they approached. He had seen many worlds in his life, but Thurin was something special. The Valorians had built their civilization for thousands of years. Every building, every street, every light showed their power and pride. "Beautiful," Ambassador Yuna said quietly. "And dangerous," Jay replied. "Remember why we are here. These people do not trust us. One wrong word could end our mission." The Valorian escort ships guided the horizon to a landing platform near the Imperial Palace. Armed soldiers waited below. Their weapons were pointed at the human ship. Admiral Chorus contacted them one last time. "You will leave your weapons on the ship. You will follow my soldiers to the palace. You will speak only when the Emperor allows. Do you understand?" "We understand," Jay said. The horizon landed softly. The door opened, and Captain J stepped out first. Behind him came Ambassador Yuna and Officer Hyan. They carried no weapons. They wore simple clothes. They looked like ordinary humans. The Valorian soldiers surrounded them immediately. They were tall creatures with 4 arms and hard skin like armor. Their eyes watched the humans with suspicion and disgust. "Move," a soldier ordered. The humans walked through the streets of the capital. Valorian citizens stopped to stare at them. Some pointed. Some laughed. A few threw small objects at them. "They hate us," Hyan whispered. "They fear us," Yuna corrected. "They do not understand why we are here. Fear makes people do strange things." The Imperial Palace was the largest building on the planet. It was made of white stone and golden metal. Statues of ancient emperors lined the entrance. Guards stood at every door, every corner, every shadow. Inside, the humans were led through long hallways and grand chambers. Finally, they reached the throne room. It was a massive space with a ceiling so high it disappeared into darkness. Thousands of Valorians filled the room. Nobles, generals, advisors, and servants all watched as the humans entered. At the far end, sat Emperor Thalos. He was old, even by Valorian standards. His skin was cracked with age, and his 4 eyes were cloudy. But his voice was strong when he spoke. "Bring the humans forward." Captain J walked to the center of the room. He bowed his head slightly. Not too much. Humans did not kneel to anyone. "Emperor Thalos," J said. "Thank you for seeing us." The Emperor leaned forward. "I did not invite you. You invaded my territory. You broke our laws. Give me one reason why I should not execute you right now." The crowd murmured in agreement. Many wanted to see the humans die. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward. "Great Emperor, we did not come to fight. We came to warn you. A threat is coming. A threat greater than anything your empire has faced. Humans speak of threats," the Emperor said. "Yet your species is weak. You have no empire. You have no great fleet. What could you possibly know about threats?" Yuna did not back down. "We know because we faced it. 12 days ago, our largest colony was destroyed. 40 million humans died. We could not stop the enemy. We could not even slow them down." The throne room fell quiet. 40 million deaths was a number that even the Valorians respected. "Show me proof," the Emperor demanded. Officer Hyan activated the data device he carried. Holographic images appeared in the air above the throne room. The recordings showed the attack on the human colony. Ships larger than cities moved through space. Weapons fired beams of light that cut through everything. Human vessels exploded like toys. The Valorians watched in silence. Some looked scared. Others looked confused. A few refused to believe what they saw. "This is a trick," one general shouted. "Human technology can create false images. They are lying to us. Why would we lie?" Captain J asked. "What do we gain by coming here?" "We risked everything to bring you this warning. Our ship crossed through hostile space for days. We knew you might kill us the moment we arrived. Does that sound like a trick?" The general had no answer. Emperor Thalos raised one of his hands. The room fell silent again. "You say this enemy is coming here," the Emperor said. "How do you know?" "We tracked their path," Yuna explained. "They are moving through the galaxy in a straight line. They do not turn. They do not stop. Based on their current direction, they will reach Valorian space in approximately 30 days. 30 days. The number hung in the air like poison. "Our fleet is the largest in the galaxy," the Emperor said slowly. "We have 10,000 warships. We have weapons that can destroy planets. You expect me to believe that we cannot defeat this enemy?" Jay looked directly at the Emperor. "Your fleet is impressive. Your weapons are powerful. But the enemy we faced did not care about our weapons. They walked through our defenses like they were nothing. If you fight them the same way we did, you will die the same way we did." A noble in the crowd laughed nervously. "Humans always exaggerate. They are known for their stories and lies." "Then explain this," Hyan said. He changed the holographic display. Now it showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked destroyed colonies and stations. The dots formed a clear line pointing toward Valorian space. "These are confirmed attacks," Hyan continued. "Not just humans. The Karathi lost 2 mining stations. The Felden lost a research base. The Morthic lost an entire moon. Every species in the enemy's path has suffered losses. This is not a human problem. This is a galactic problem." The throne room erupted in arguments. Nobles shouted at each other. Generals demanded action. Advisors called for calm. Emperor Thalos slammed his fist against his throne. The sound echoed through the room, and everyone fell silent. "Enough," he said. "I have heard the human warning. I will consider their words." He looked at Captain J. "You will remain on Terran as my guests. My advisors will study your data. If your warning is true, we will prepare. If it is false, you will die for wasting my time." Jay bowed his head again. "That is all we ask, Emperor. A chance to prove the truth." The soldiers led the humans out of the throne room. As they walked, Yuna spoke quietly to Jay. "Do you think he believes us?" "He is not sure," Jay replied. "But he is not stupid. He saw the recordings. He knows something is wrong." 30 days is not much time, Hyan added. "If they wait too long to prepare, it will not matter if they believe us." "Then we need to convince them faster," Jay said. "Find allies in the palace. Anyone who will listen. We did not come this far to watch another world burn." The humans were taken to a small building near the palace. It was comfortable, but guarded. They were prisoners in everything but name, but they were alive. And as long as they were alive, there was hope. Outside, the golden towers of Theron reached toward the sky. The Valorian Empire had stood for 10,000 years. In 30 days, it might fall forever, unless 3 humans could convince them to fight. 10 days passed on Theron. The humans waited in their small building. Guards watched them day and night. No one from the palace came to speak with them. Captain Jay spent his time studying Valorian military reports. Ambassador Yuna tried to contact anyone who would listen. Officer Hyan monitored long-range signals, searching for news of the enemy's movement. "They are ignoring us," Yuna said one morning. "The Emperor heard our warning, and he chose to do nothing." "Not nothing," Jay replied. "He is thinking." Valorians do not make quick decisions. They study. They debate. They calculate. "We do not have time for calculation," Hyan said from his station. "I just received new data. 2 more colonies have gone dark. The enemy is moving faster than we expected." Jay looked at the map on Hyan's screen. The red dots were closer now. 20 days. "Maybe less. We need to speak to the Emperor again," Jay said. "They will not let us," Yuna replied. "I have requested an audience every day. They always refuse." A knock came at the door. The humans looked at each other in surprise. Visitors were rare. The door opened. A young Valorian female entered. She wore the robes of a palace advisor. Her skin was lighter than most Valorians, and her 4 eyes looked tired but intelligent. "I am Advisor Lyra," she said. "I have come to speak with you privately." Jay stood up. "We welcome any conversation. We have been waiting for someone to listen." Lyra closed the door behind her. She looked nervous, checking the windows as if someone might be watching. "The Emperor's council is divided," she said quietly. "Half believe your warning is real. Half think you are trying to trick us." The debates have continued for days with no conclusion. "What do you believe?" Yuna asked. Lyra hesitated. "I studied the recordings you brought. I analyzed the data. The attacks are real. The destruction is real. Something terrible is coming." "Then help us convince the others," Jay said. "It is not that simple," Lyra replied. "The Valorian Empire has never faced a threat it could not defeat. Our people do not know how to be afraid. They think your warnings are exaggerations because they cannot imagine losing." Hyan stepped forward. "Then show them the truth. Take them to the destroyed colonies. Let them see the ashes for themselves." Lyra shook her head. "There's no time. And the council would never approve such a mission." "What about the military?" Jay asked. "Surely your generals understand the danger." "Some do," Lyra admitted. "Admiral Corys has spoken in your favor. He saw your faces when you first arrived. He believes you are sincere. But the high generals think your warning is a trick to weaken our defenses." "Weaken your defenses?" Yuna's voice rose in frustration. "We are trying to save you. Why would we travel across the galaxy to lie?" "Because humans have always been competitors," Lyra said. Your species expands quickly. You take resources. You build colonies in places we consider ours. Some believe this is all a plan to make us lower our guard. Jay laughed, but there was no humor in it. If we wanted to attack your empire, we would not warn you first. That makes no sense. I know, Lyra said. But fear and pride make people believe strange things. She reached into her robes and pulled out a small device. I brought something that might help. This is a communication link to Admiral Corys. He wants to speak with you directly. Perhaps together, we can change the Council's mind. Jay took the device. Why are you helping us? You could get in serious trouble for this. Lyra looked at him with her 4 tired eyes. Because I have children. 2 young daughters. If your warning is true and we do nothing, they will die. Everyone I love will die. I cannot let that happen without trying to stop it. The humans understood. Across all species, parents protected their children. It was the one thing every creature shared. That night, Jay used the communication link to contact Admiral Corys. The old admiral appeared on the small screen, looking even more worried than before. Captain Jay, Corys said, I have argued for your cause in every meeting, but the Council refuses to act. They say we need more proof. What more proof do they need? Jay asked. We showed them recordings. We showed them data. We showed them the path of destruction across the galaxy. They want to see the enemy with their own sensors, Corys replied. Until then, they will not believe. By then, it will be too late, Jay said. The enemy does not give warnings. When you see them, you are already dying. Corys was quiet for a moment. There is one thing that might convince them. The Council respects strength. If you could show them that humans have a plan to fight, they might listen. A plan? Jay frowned. Our colony was destroyed. What plan could we have? Any plan, Corys said. Something that proves humans are not just running scared. Something that shows you came here with a strategy, not just a warning. After the call ended, the humans sat together in silence. The weight of the situation pressed down on them. Do we have a plan? Hyan asked finally. Jay stared at the floor. We had one idea, but it is dangerous. More dangerous than anything we have ever tried. Yuna looked at him. Tell us. Jay took a deep breath. The enemy ships are large, but they are not invincible. When our colony fell, one of our fighters managed to damage an enemy vessel before being destroyed. The weak point was their engine core. If we could get close enough to strike directly, we might be able to destroy them. Get close enough? Hyan repeated. Their weapons destroyed our ships from thousands of kilometers away. How would we get close? By doing something they would not expect, Jay said. A direct assault. No shields, no formation, no defensive maneuvers. Just one ship flying straight at them, fast enough to avoid their targeting systems. That is suicide, Yuna said quietly. Maybe, Jay admitted. But it might work. And if it works once, it can work again. 1,000 small ships attacking at once could destroy their entire fleet. The room was silent again. The plan was insane. It went against every rule of space warfare. But it was also the only idea they had. We need to tell Admiral Corys, Yuna said finally. If the Valorians hear this plan, they might take us seriously. Or they might think we are even crazier than before, Hyan said. Jay stood up. Either way, we have to try. 20 days left. Maybe less. We cannot sit here and wait for the end. He activated the communication link again. Corys answered immediately. Admiral, Jay said, we have a plan. It is dangerous and possibly insane, but it might be the only way to defeat this enemy. Corys leaned forward with interest. I am listening. As Jay explained the strategy, Chorus's expression changed from doubt to surprise to something that might have been hope. It was a small chance, a desperate gamble. But in the face of total destruction, desperate gambles were all they had left. Outside the window, the stars of the Valorian Empire shone bright and peaceful. They did not know what was coming. They did not know that their survival now depended on 3 humans with a crazy plan. But the humans knew, and they were ready to fight. The enemy arrived on the 18th day. No warning. No signal. One moment, the outer defense stations reported clear skies. The next moment, they were gone. Destroyed in seconds, alarms screamed across Theron. Citizens ran through the streets in panic. The golden towers that once represented pride now felt like tombs waiting to be sealed. Emperor Thalas stood in his command center, surrounded by generals and advisors. His old face showed something no one had ever seen before: fear. How many ships? He demanded. We count 12, a general reported. Each one is larger than our biggest battleship. Our outer fleet engaged them 15 minutes ago. And? The general swallowed hard. They are gone, Emperor. 3,000 ships destroyed in less than 10 minutes. We could not even damage the enemy. The command center fell silent. 3,000 ships. The pride of the Valorian Navy. Gone like dust in the wind. Advisor Lyra pushed through the crowd. Emperor, the humans warned us about this. Their plan might still work. We should listen to them. The humans? An old general laughed bitterly. Their plan is madness. Flying directly at the enemy? No shields? No formation? That is not a strategy. That is suicide. Our strategy just lost 3,000 ships, Lyra shot back. Perhaps suicide is better than extinction. Emperor Thalas raised his hand for silence. His eyes were fixed on the battle display. The 12 enemy ships moved steadily toward Theron. They did not hurry. They did not need to. Nothing stood in their way. Bring me the humans, the Emperor said quietly. Minutes later, Captain J, Ambassador Yuna, and Officer Hyan entered the command center. They looked at the displays and understood immediately. The attack had begun. Everything they warned about was happening. You were right, Emperor Thalas said. The words seemed to cause him physical pain. The enemy is here. Our defenses have failed. Tell me your plan again. Jay stepped forward. The enemy ships are powerful, but they have a weakness. Their engine cores can be destroyed by a direct strike. Our analysis shows they have slow targeting systems. They expect enemies to keep distance and fire from far away. If we do the opposite, if we fly straight at them at maximum speed, we can slip past their weapons and hit the core. One ship, an old general scoffed. One ship against those monsters. Not one ship, Jay said. Many ships. Small, fast, and brave. Each one a missile with a pilot inside. If even 10% reach their targets, the enemy fleet dies. The command center erupted in arguments. Some called the plan brilliant. Others called it murder. No one could agree. Admiral Corey stepped forward. I will lead the attack. Everyone turned to look at him. Corey's was old, respected, and careful. He never took unnecessary risks. If this plan is our only hope, then I will prove it works, Corey's continued. Give me volunteers. Not orders, volunteers. Those who are willing to risk everything for the Empire. Emperor Thalas looked at his old friend. They had known each other for 50 years. They had fought together, celebrated together, grown old together. You would die for this plan? The Emperor asked. I would die for my people, Chorus replied. That is what soldiers do. The Emperor closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them, his decision was made. Prepare the attack. Admiral Chorus will lead. The humans will advise. Every pilot who volunteers will receive the highest honors of the Empire, living or dead. Within hours, the word spread across Theron. Volunteers were needed for a desperate mission. The chances of survival were almost zero. The glory would be eternal. To everyone's surprise, thousands responded. Young pilots and old veterans, males and females, citizens who had never held a weapon, and soldiers who had fought 100 battles. They all came forward, ready to die. Captain J stood in the hangar bay, watching the Valorian pilots prepare their ships. He felt a strange mix of hope and sadness. These people had ignored his warnings for weeks. Now they were willing to sacrifice everything based on his plan. Una walked up beside him. "They are brave. They are desperate," Jay corrected. But desperation and bravery often look the same. Hyan joined them. He had been working with the Valorian engineers to modify the attack ships. The modifications are complete. The ships are faster now. The pilots have trained on the approach patterns. We have done everything we can. Everything except fly with them, Jay said quietly. Una and Hyan looked at him with concern. The Horizon still works, Jay continued. She is fast and small. Perfect for this attack. I should be in that formation. You are the mission commander, Una protested. If you die, the coordination fails. Hyan can coordinate. He knows the plan as well as I do. Jay looked at his crew with determination. I cannot ask these people to die while I watch from safety. That is not who I am. That is not who humans are. Before Una could argue further, Admiral Corys approached. He had heard the conversation. You want to fly with us? Corys asked. Yes, Jay said simply. Corys studied the human captain for a long moment. I thought humans were cowards. I thought you ran from every fight. That is what our histories say. Your histories are wrong, Jay replied. Humans run when running makes sense. But when there is no escape, when everything we love is at stake, we fight harder than any species in the galaxy. Corys nodded slowly. Then fly beside me, Captain. Let us show the enemy what courage looks like. The attack fleet launched at dawn. 500 ships rose from Theron's surface. The Horizon flew at the front, beside Admiral Corys's command vessel. On the ground, Ambassador Una watched them go. Hyan stood beside her, monitoring communications. They are approaching the enemy formation, Hyan reported. 10 minutes to contact. Una said nothing. She just watched the sky and prayed to whatever gods might be listening. In space, Captain J gripped his controls tightly. The enemy ships grew larger on his display. They were massive, dark, and silent. No signals. No warnings. Just death waiting to happen. All pilots, Admiral Corys's voice came through the speakers. This is our moment. Our empire has stood for 10,000 years. Today, we fight to keep it standing. Do not hesitate. Do not slow down. Fly straight and true. For Valoria, the pilots responded as one. For everyone, Jay whispered to himself. The enemy ships opened fire. Beams of white light cut through space. Ships exploded around Jay. The formation broke apart as pilots dodged and weaved, but they kept moving forward. Always forward. Jay pushed his ship to maximum speed. The Horizon screamed through space, faster than any Valorian vessel. Enemy fire missed him by meters. Explosions lit up the darkness all around. He could see the engine core of the nearest enemy ship now, a glowing spot at the center of the massive hull. His target. 20 seconds to impact, his computer announced. More ships died around him. 300 left. 200. 100. But 50 ships broke through the defensive fire. 50 pilots who flew faster than death. Jay aimed for the core. His finger hovered over the firing control. For everyone, he said again, and he fired.